here with Eric from TSA, and what do you guys have going on here?
Yeah, so we have a great activity here for the folks to look at what we're doing in the open architecture space. What people are doing here is pretending like they're a transportation security officer. They're seeing exactly what our officers at the checkpoints are looking at, trying to see if there's threats in the bags, and really get a feel for the pressure that an officer has to go through and experience. But behind the scenes is our open architecture work, where we're standardizing the data format, standardizing the interfaces, really trying to separate hardware from software so that we can engage with all of the community in developing new algorithms to improve how we detect threats, and also really build that customer experience, improving, potentially allowing folks to bring more stuff in their bags, not have the best items, just trying to figure out how do we get you through the checkpoint, get you to your flight, get you where you need to go. So it's really exciting, and we've had a lot of folks here playing around, seeing what TSOs have to look for, trying to find a gun, trying to find a knife in the bags. There's a competition. If in a 2-minute window, how many bags can you go through? How many can you identify the threat? Is it a gun? Is it a knife? And if you beat the challenge, you're a GOAT, and you get to get a TSA casino coin. So it's nice.
So 2 quick questions.
Yeah.
1, no real bags, no real guns or knives that they're scanning here right now.
No.
And then second question, you mentioned open architecture and separating some of the concerns within the system. Does that mean that it's similar to open source? Things are shared within the community so they can be iterated on?
We want to get to that point. So specifically with the data format, it's very similar to DICOM, which is in the medical industry. We call it DICOS for the security industry. But that provides that image information in an open source format, so we could put that 20,000 images out there to all of industry and say, all right, here's a competition. Find this threat, and if you can develop an algorithm that does it the best, TSA will be able to provide funding, and then we can have a platform in place to deploy it, ultimately improving our security and improving customer experience for the passengers.
Nice. All right, one last question.
Sure, yeah.
What do you think the average person walking through the airport would be really interested in knowing? I just overheard something. I want to hear what you have to say. Just about going through the checkpoints.
About going through the checkpoints? I would say, I don't know how interesting it is, but I don't know if you saw that during 4th of July, we had
This is K1DBC, the DRC Learning Net will start in 1 minute. All stations, please stand by.
Had 3 million passengers come through the 430 plus airports that we had. And so we are at the point where we are at capacity. We're trying to find the ways to improve that experience, get more people through the checkpoint, make it faster. So this is what this activity is about, is really trying to improve those algorithms. Benefit there is you can bring more stuff, maybe get to that point where electronics don't need to be divested, potentially liquids coming through the checkpoint at some point. So it would be a huge opportunity for us.
That sounds like a fun real-world queuing problem and systems problem too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot. Yep. Thanks.
Hello, and welcome back to the Denver Radio Club Learning Net for October 2nd, 2024. Quite far into the year we've made it here so far, pretty quickly. It's a great place to learn about ham radio and STEM topics in general, and thankfully we have plenty of combined experience and expertise. This is Kilo 1 Delta Bravo Charlie, K1DBC. My name is Daron. I am this evening's net control. I want to thank N0TRP, Jim, as always, for taking the Learning Net when I'm unable to. And if anybody is ever interested, there's plenty of opportunities to run the Learning Net or other nets. So if you'd like to get experience, please let us know. But it looks like you all maybe talked about statewide repeater networks, update on radio sales, design and background from CFT, some propagation reports on 10, 15 meters, 90 watts. from Alpha Bravo Ken, some balloon updates from Ed, propagation report to Australia, RNY, and a new radio from RMV Grant. So very cool stuff there. So we'll be taking your comments, questions, check-ins, updates, and more this evening. We meet every Wednesday except the third Wednesday of the month, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time on 145.490 and 448.625. Both have a negative offset. You can contact us at several email addresses on our website. One of them is elmer@w0tx.org. Another one would be net@w0tx. And we're also on most social media at Denver Radio Club. That's also to include youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. So if you'd like to see behind the scenes of the net or visual context, that is an additional way to view and participate in the net. This net can be broken at any time for emergency or priority traffic by using the word break. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? All check-ins to the net will be taken in alphabetical groups based on the first letter of the suffix of the operator's call sign. The suffix is the first letter after the number in the call sign. If you can, please try to use ITU phonetics for your call and indicate if you have traffic or questions as you check in. You can also follow along with check-ins if you'd like, w0tx.org/check-in. With that, if your suffix begins with the letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now.
Kilowatt Delta Zero, Charlie Golf Fox, Kenny and Thornton with traffic tonight.
Kilo Echo Zero Alpha Bravo, Ken and Lakewood, no traffic.
This is K1 DBC Net Control. I'd like to welcome and acknowledge the following check-ins: KD0 CGF, Kenny, with traffic, and Kilo Echo Zero Alpha Bravo, Ken. Thank you both so much for checking in. Once more, we're taking call suffixes, Alpha through Mike, A through M. If you'd like to check in, let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic questions, A through M, please call now.
W0TX repeater.
Alpha Foxtrot Zero, Alpha Sierra, Dave, no traffic.
Kilo Foxtrot Zero Alpha Whiskey Charlie Brian, Centennial, no traffic.
All right, that time we had Alpha Fox Zero, Alpha Sierra Dave, and KF0 AWC Brian. Thank you all so much for checking in here. Okay, we'll open up the whole alphabet. We'll take all call signs, all call suffixes. If you'd like to check in for the count, or if you have any traffic or questions, this is an opportunity to do so. There'll be check-ins throughout the net, but we'll take all call suffixes, all call signs, A through Z, Alpha through Zulu. Please check in now.
Tango Echo Alpha, this is Terry.
Kilo Echo Zero, Sierra Uniform Mike, Jonathan, Lakewood.
WD0 CIV, WD0 CIV Charles in Denver, no traffic.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. There was 3 calls in there. I couldn't get the first one in there. It may have been Chip or something, but we had also KE0SUM Jonathan and WD0CIV Charles. If you did try to check in, your call was very scratchy, very hard to read, but if you tried to call in, it may have been Pete, TSF, but if you tried to call in and you didn't hear your call sign, try once more. All right, this is K1 at DBC Net Control. I think it was Kilo Echo Zero Tom Sierra Fox, K0 TSF Pete checking in. He also checked in online. But we'll take, again, all call signs, all call suffixes if you'd like to check in to the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. Just for the counter, if you have any traffic questions, please call now.
November 0, Tango Romeo Papa, Jim in Lakewood. Good evening.
All right, and that time we had N0TRP. Jim, thank you so much for checking in. Okay, so far we've had 9 check-ins, including myself. Really appreciate everyone being able to participate in the Learning Net. Here again, it's October the 2nd somehow. We've made it somehow this far into the year. There'll be check-ins throughout the net. We have KD0CGF, Kenny, with traffic. We'll get back to you here in a minute or so. I can bring up a few things. Obviously, there's a lot of things in the news going on and things we could talk about. But once more, if you'd like to check in, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. Please check in now. Okay, nothing heard at the moment. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Again, appreciate everyone checking in here so far. This is about an hour-long meeting, just a general Q&A about ham radio and STEM topics. So if you'd like to check in throughout the net, let us know if you're just listening. There's some club business I can certainly cover, club website updates, things like that. Again, we'll take check-ins throughout the net. If you don't hear anybody talking, don't hesitate to jump in if you'd like. Let me see if I have anything else. Nothing yet so far. I can certainly bring some things up. But with that, we'll throw it over to Kenny, KD0CGF. The net is yours.
Good evening to everyone in the net. This is KD0CGF. So I have a question for everyone. So tonight at 1700 hours, the ISS flew over and actually was a pretty good path over Colorado. And I had an SDR hooked up to the computer. I was using a standard antenna, just the common antenna I have up on the tower. I didn't really receive much on it, so I switched over to an Arrow omnidirectional antenna to see if I can receive any of the signals. And I did get some on the waterfall, but I wasn't able to pull them out through the static. So I quickly switched over the antenna to an old Radio Shack scanner, and I was able to get 2 seconds of the space station. What my question is, what would be a good setup to receive the ISS traffic and potentially transmit to them to say hello? This is KD0CGF.
Great question there, contacting the International Space Station. Yeah, it's absolutely really a cool opportunity to be able to do. As far as equipment-wise, I'm not too sure exactly on the radios and antennas needed. If you look up ARIS, ARISS, amateur radio on the International Space Station, they have a pretty good page on how to contact the ISS. Some of the crews, some of the periods, waking periods for these crews. And that might be a little bit more helpful information. Also, when they contact schools, you can usually contact them just before or after that contact. So that's another opportunity as well to contact them. But anyone else on that International Space Station contact, go right ahead. This is K1 DBC Net Control. I can read a couple of things from their page here. Some ISS crew members make random, unscheduled amateur radio voice contacts. They make contacts during their breaks, pre-sleep time. Their work schedule dictate when they're able to operate radios. Usually have a waking period from 7:30 to 19:30 UTC. Let's see, they're usually free most weekends. They operate a Kenwood. Let's see. Typical ground station for contacting the ISS includes a 2-meter FM transceiver, 25 to 100 watts of output power, circularly polarized crossed Yagi antenna capable of being pointed in both azimuth and elevation is desirable, but successful contacts have been made with vertical and ground plane antennas. Frequencies in use 145.80 on voice and single side or slow scan television, and a bunch of other uplinks and downlink information on there as well. This is K1 DBC Net Control. I'll throw it out to the group or anyone else, or Kenny, if you have any further questions or comments on that, go right ahead.
W0TX repeater.
So, Ron, this is KFC FBI, late check-in, and I might be able to help on the ISS.
FPI, Ron, got you checked in. Yeah, please go right ahead.
Yeah, I got an astronaut, and it was June 21st of 21. I got a QSO. Well, it's not really a QSO. He welcomed me to the space station, and the received signal is 437.800, and that rolls. You start at 810 when you get acquisition of the signal, and you end at 790 when you lose a signal. And it transmits at 145.990, so it's a crossband repeater. I'm using FT991, and I'm using a vertical Yagi that I center the satellite span with, and if it's almost overhead, I use a GP3 vertical Comet. And I've had great luck listening to everybody. And you got 10 minutes to do it, and it is very fast. And if you're a beginner at it, I would recommend doing it in the middle of the week and not on the weekends. This is KFC PI, back to net.
Excellent, FBI Ron. Thank you so much for the follow-up and information on that. Yeah, it sounds like it is doable, but you just have to take care of some of the specifics and kind of know some of those nuances of how to receive and migrating signals, things like that. So very cool stuff. Yeah, lots of great information again over on ARIS, ARISS.org. On their on the operations of ham systems on the International Space Station. So again, thanks, Ron, FPI, and Kenny, CGF, or if anyone else has any comments or questions on that, go ahead. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Contacting is definitely a difficult prospect. Receiving, though, is actually a lot easier potentially. At least packet radio operations. I mean, you can bounce they have a digipeater, so you can bounce a packet off of it. A lot of people have had pretty good success doing that, and that's, I think, just 24/7. I think you can do that. They have slow scan television that they send out. It's usually the Russian cosmonauts that send out slow scan television, but you can see that as well. So lots of opportunities to send and receive signals from and to the International Space Station. So anyone else, please call now.
KD0CGF with for information on the space station.
Yeah, CGF, go ahead.
So I was looking at it and doing some research earlier in the day, and I did did notice something. I don't know how accurate it is, because I didn't dive too much into it, but it almost looks like the space program is going to end in 2030 from what it sounds like, and the ISS is due to come back into orbit in 2031, I believe. But I've been still researching it.
Yes, absolutely, and you'd think there may be some exceptions to that rule, but in recent years, as satellite delivery and as it's been easier to get satellites up into space through SpaceX and other private agencies, companies are now forced to deorbit satellites and a lot of other objects because there's a lot of space debris up there. But it looks like, unfortunately, NASA will be deorbiting the International Space Station in a controlled manner after the end of its operational life in 2030. So not really that far from us now, just 6 years out. So it seems like it's been worked on a lot of. There's been a lot of work on the International Space Station for decades now, so it's unfortunate that has to happen, but we'll have to see what comes after that. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, but is required for safety purposes in space. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, great follow-up on that. Really do appreciate that. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. So yeah, any new satellite that goes up into space, or pretty much any existing equipment, has to be deorbited over time. That's to include all the SpaceX satellites. So you'll see from time to time, because they have so many in the news, one will just start to go out of orbit, deorbit, and burn itself up and probably fall into the sea, I think, in its safest place possible. But very interesting stuff. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else on that? Please call in.
K0 GPA, comment, and a check-in.
K0 GPA, got you checked in. Go right ahead.
Okay, name's Bob. Yeah, I was watching earlier today on the space race, and they were saying that the space station is leaking. And it started out at, I forgot how many, they called it like so many hours of pressure. You know, I can't remember exactly how they called it per day, and it started out at like a half a pressure per day, and then now it's up to below 3 or something, and that's in a Russian module. That's where they get most of their supplies from. So they think it's a crack in an aluminum weld up there, and it's getting worse and worse. Pretty soon they're going to have to cut off that access. It's an access port. And Anyway, it's pretty interesting. It was, I think it's called Space Race Today. I get a little email on them all the time, and they have some interesting stuff on rocket launches and stuff. Anyway, back to you, K0GPA.
Yes, absolutely. Life critical issues there. Losing oxygen. It's one of the more key things needed in an environment where there is no oxygen. So absolutely. Yes, and looks like it's been in orbit, according to Wikipedia at least, 25 years, 10 months. Not sure the average age of equipment out in space, but it has been up there for quite a while and served a lot of purpose. So hopefully we'll have a coordinated effort between all countries to provide a better solution. I haven't really looked into what's after post the International Space Station, but we're living in a new era, a new day and age. So very cool, very good stuff. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else on that or anything else? Please call now.
W0TX repeater.
All right, this is K1 at DBC Net Control. It is 7:52. We usually take check-ins at this time. If you're just tuning in and you'd like to check in, this is the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. Great place to learn about ham radio and STEM topics in general. So if you'd like to check in, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. Let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic or questions, please call now.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Quebec, Kilo Mike. Gotcha.
A little bit of a scratchy signal there, Joshua. I got you checked in. Okay, F0QKM, Quebec, Kilo Mike. Thank you so much for checking in. One more time, if you'd like to check in, just for the counter, if you have any traffic or questions, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. Please call now. All right, this is K1 at DBC Net Control. We have another half hour or so at least. If anybody has comments or questions, or if you have any thing you'd like to talk about, let us know. YouTube.com/Denver Radio Club if you'd like to watch the stream. We are live streaming this. And W0TX.org/check-in if you'd like to see who's checked in. This is K1 DBC Net Control. I'll throw it out to the group. Any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else so far, please come now.
Alpha Bravo.
Yeah, Ken, Kilo Echo Zero, Alpha Bravo. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if anyone has heard any emergency traffic coming out of down south where the hurricanes have hit. I have a couple of frequencies here. There's a 14.325 upper sideband for day and a 7.268 lower sideband for the evening, and then a 14.300. And I heard a tad bit of chatter on the 14.325. Not much, but those are kind of some frequencies that I have been monitoring. And I was just wondering if anybody else has any frequencies that they have picked up or heard about where there's any traffic on the HF bands going in and out of down south. Just out of curiosity. This is Kilo Echoes Alpha Bravo, back to net.
On low power that is stationed directly in the center of the path of the storm, which is going to be me. So they'll keep me on that list, and if they have is and what it does. I mean, for God's sakes, if you haven't figured it out in the last 10.
Katie 0CGF with a comment.
Yeah, great question. Absolutely. And CGF, I'll get back to you here in just a second. Yeah, absolutely. Hurricane Helene, extremely horrific sights and scenes of the aftermath of that. But yeah, ham radio does seem to be coming to the rescue a little bit there, as well as other amateurs and search and rescue operators and things like that. So Hurricane WatchNet, hwn.org. It looks like listed off some of the frequencies you may be listed there. But we also had CGF. Go right ahead.
So I haven't heard anything myself, but you did bring up a very good question that I would think. Is there a central location in the ham community that we would find these emergency frequencies in a generalization that's nationwide? CGF, back to net.
Alpha Bravo.
Great question. I know National Weather Service, they don't have an official, I don't think. That would probably make the most sense, but it looks like it might be just kind of separate, disparate groups that are maybe handling this. But Alpha Bravo, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Kilo Echoes Alpha Bravo. Daron just said the HWN, the Hurricane Network, and then there's another one. It's called disastersus.org, and I haven't looked at either of the sites lately, but I know you can pick up some frequencies. Maybe you might be able to pick up some frequencies there. And on the CRA Sunday morning, there was a guy out there looking for information, and they directed him to some type of a gram. They used to have some type of I can't think of the name offhand now, where they can coordinate with the people around the different states. But I can't remember the name of that. But the disastersus.org is another place to go. Anyway, this is Kilo Echoes Alpha Bravo, back to net.
All right, thanks for the information on there. I think it might be the ARL NTS or Traffic Net or something that may do what you were mentioning there in terms of trying to get information out to folks or trying to get information and using ham radio. I think that's it. But this is K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, great information there. Really appreciate it. I don't know if CGF or anyone else has any other comments or questions. Go right ahead. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Again, yeah, I think this was the National Traffic System, NTS, during disasters and other emergencies. And this is a service through ARL. So that is kind of the factor here of how that gets organized through ARL, I believe, or I might be completely misunderstood on that. During disasters and other emergencies, radiograms are used to communicate information critical to saving lives or property or to inquire about the health or welfare of disaster victims. So it is NTS. A National Traffic System is comprised of dedicated operators, well-trained. They participate in local nets 365 every day of the year. So that is potentially might be one of the more unifying ways to kind of check into some of these disasters. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else? Please call there. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Yep, and a YouTube video that popped up on my stream the other day was, not that long ago. Ham radio operators trying to help connect families after Helene. So this was pretty neat video highlighting efforts there by amateur radio operators as well. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. We're helping as much as we can. So this is, again, Net Control. If anybody has any comments or questions, please come there.
Charlie, is there anybody standing by here on the hurricane net frequency?
WD0CIV. Just a reminder, Barkfest is having their Hamfest at October 6th. And let's see, it's at 9595 Nelson Road. And go north on I-25. Anyway, that's all I got. WD0CIV, turn it back to net control.
W0TX repeater.
Perfect. Thanks for the follow-up on that. Barkfest, Hamfest, if you're interested, it's just a few days away on the 6th here. So this coming Sunday, again, up in Boulder. Let's see, again, 9595 Nelson Row, Longmont. But more information on the ARL page for the Hamfest and a couple of other places. Very cool. I think our club might have a table there. I can't remember at this point, but I believe our club will also have a table there. So come and say hi if you'd like. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else? We have another 28 minutes. Please call now.
Kilo Romeo 0 Tango Echo Alpha. Late check-in. Terry in Arvada. No business.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Oscar Romeo, Quebec. And no traffic.
This is K1 DBC Net Control. I'd like to welcome Knowledge with Following Check-ins, KR0TEA Terry and KF0ORQ Sam. Thank you both so much for checking in. I think there may have been someone else trying to get in there, but if you wanted to check in, please go ahead. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Another 25 or so minutes here. Not counting down or anything, but I certainly can bring up some recent news articles, some things I came by, some minor club business. But if anybody else has anything else so far for this evening's Learning Net, please call now.
KF0ORQ. Now that I think about it, I have a quick question.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control Online. We had checking in Alex, KS0E, and then Sam, ORQ. Go right ahead.
Yeah, so I'm looking at doing a base setup, 2 meter, 70 centimeter. I have to use an attic antenna due to HOA restriction, and I'm looking at using one of those Edfong J poles. And I was wondering, with that, do you have to do any kind of grounding, RF grounding or otherwise?
This is K1 DBC Net Control. Great question there. I always get a little bit confused on when that's required and when that's not. But if anybody has a follow-up on that, is grounding required for a J-pole? I don't think that it is in this case. I think you can just put it up there, and because it's 2 meters, 70 centimeters, I think you can get away with not having to do that. But if anybody else has something on that, go ahead.
This is Alpha Bravo.
All right. At least on their page here, the DBJ 1, no ground radials, it looks like. And then I think there was Alpha Bravo in there. Go ahead. Or a GPA maybe.
This was Alpha Bravo. Yeah, that one gal, she was out there and she put up a J-pole and didn't use a ground. She was just using the coax cable, and she said it worked great. So as long as you're not running a bunch of power and, probably 50 watts or less, and you're not running it on a big metal pole someplace, that would probably work just fine. But I agree with Daron there. This is Kilo Echo Alpha Bravo, back to net.
All right, perfect. Thank you. I'm not sure if it was the exact same situation, but I think it was maybe a linear K0 LPR we helped with an attic antenna potentially in the past. So that's good to hear. Yeah, very good question, and really appreciate the follow-up. So it does not sound like you'll need to have any other grounding. You'll just be able to just mount it up there and test for performance, and hopefully as long as it's high enough, you should be just fine. So this is K1 DBC Net Control, ORQ. Sam, if you have any other follow-up, go ahead.
KF0 ORQ. Yeah, thank you very much for that. I've been scouring the internet and not really finding a definite answer. So just a follow-up question. The intentions of RF grounding then is to create a ground plane for an antenna that doesn't otherwise have a ground plane. Is that correct?
There's a lot of confusion surrounding grounding, and I'll be the first one to put my hand up and say I can't answer grounding questions because it's always super confusing. I think there's grounding for lightning protection. There's also grounding for RF purposes. I think as you were kind of mentioning there, where grounding wasn't provided. And that's usually used more in the HF range side of things, but it's kind of a mystical and magical thing of when it's needed and when it's not, and there's kind of a lot of misunderstanding on it. But this is K1 DBC Net Control. I'll see if anyone else maybe wants to answer the grounding question for J-poles or just grounding in general. Go right ahead.
Bravo.
I think we had Alpha Bravo in there. Go right ahead.
Okay, yeah, I was just going to say I've got a homemade J-pole up, and I don't ground that, and it's not up very high, but I got a metal pole, and usually the coax takes care of it, but then I also have a roll-up J-pole I hung up in a tree for 6 meters, and that's not grounded either, but yeah, usually if you got a RF ground, I use that big flat inch-wide copper strip for RF. Then for lightning ground, they usually use that like an 8-gauge wire, solid wire, and you usually can run it to the ground by your meter box and stuff. But RF ground, I've got a couple of stakes in the ground, and I run that according to, well, it's in that ARRL grounding book, and it says that the flat wire for RF, flat strap for RF makes a better ground than the round stuff there. That's what I've read and what I've seen online there. K0 GPA.
All right, thanks GPA for the follow-up on that. Absolutely. So hopefully that answers your question a little bit more there. ORQ, KF0, ORQ. Yeah, a lot of information surrounding grounding available online. And we had another person checking in frequently, Ed Reed, AE0YR. A little bit of a saga with his radio, but he also had to do some grounding and got a lot more performance out of it in terms of HF usage. This is K1 DBC Net Control. I'll throw it out to the group or anyone else. Grounding for J-poles or other antennas. Please come there.
W0TX repeater.
Yeah, this is Alpha Bravo.
Alpha Bravo, Ken, go right ahead.
Yeah, like Daron said, the handbooks, the ARR handbooks, is a good place to go. And another one is the NEC, the National Electrical Code. They have a section in there, I believe, on grounding of antennas, TV antennas, and all types of different antennas. And I don't know if they have a website or not where you can get in there and just look in the section or whatever. But that would be an interesting place to go also if you're interested in grounding any type of antennas. So this is Kilo Echo Zero Alpha Bravo, back to net.
Excellent. Yeah, another great resource, the NEC. Just trying to find what that actually... National Electric Code, set of regularly updated standards for the safe installation of electric wiring in Americas. First published in 1897. Wow. NEC is updated once every 3 years. They provide guidelines for electrical installation to prevent fires and other electrical accidents. But they definitely have a really good guide as well on antenna system bonding and grounding in the U.S., whether it be for professional or amateur purposes. So very cool stuff there. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Appreciate everyone checking in here so far. Great conversation so far this evening. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins, anything else so far for this evening's Learning Net? Please come there. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. I can certainly bring up a couple things, but if anybody else has any comments or questions or anything else, please call now. All right, I could delve into a couple of stories here and throw it back up to the net and the group here. Over on NASA.gov, a strong solar flare erupts from sun. This was on October 1st, yesterday. The sun emitted a strong solar flare, peaking at 6:20 p.m. Eastern Time on October 1st. NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory, which watches the sun constantly, captured an image of the event. Solar flares are powerful bursts of energy. Flares and solar eruptions can impact radio communications, electric power grids, navigation signals, and pose risk to spacecraft and astronauts. This flare is classified as an X7.1 flare. X class denotes the most intense flares, while the number provides more information about its strength. More information can be found over on the NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center, spaceweather.gov. So this just kind of, they don't talk about ham radio in particular, but if you look on our website or some of other ham radio websites, there'll be propagation information from hamqsl.com. And this kind of shows which bands are open, which bands are closed, things like that. So you can also kind of check into that as well. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Again, don't think of these as binary. Bands are not 100% closed or 100% open. There's always room for some propagation. There's plenty of tools online you can check PSK Reporter, for example, is one of them. You can see which digital signals are making it out there from where and to where, things like that, on what bands. So you can also use that to kind of determine which bands to work at certain times of the day. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else on that or anything else so far, please call now.
GPA.
Yeah, GPA, go right ahead.
Lately, 10 meters have been open very well. You know, I've been working Europe almost every day for the last, I don't know, I guess 2 weeks off and on. Sometimes it's real good and sometimes it's bad, but in the mornings you can get into Europe and that fairly good. I've been working, like Romania, Belgium, all over in Europe. And then later on in the afternoon, Japanese tonight were coming in real good. So on 10 meters, it's been opening very good. So anybody works 10 meters, they ought to try it. I tried some 15 and 12 meters, but they weren't as good as 10. So anyway, that's a good one to check. Just turn on your radio and check the bands, K0 GPA.
Yes, absolutely. If in doubt, just turn your radio on, see what you hear. Absolutely. And try transmitting. Absolutely. Very cool stuff. 10 meters activity, 15 meters over the last couple of days. So even with solar flare events, there is still opportunities to communicate across the world. So very cool stuff. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else on that or anything else? We have another 13 or so minutes. Please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. I can bring up another couple of things, but anyone else, please call now. Let's see, just to cover some quick club business, just some updates on our website. Well, our DRC Saturday event is canceled. That would have been that was the last one that we were going to do. Unfortunately, due to conflicts, we've had to cancel it. So that was going to be on the October 5th, so this weekend. So if you were preparing for that, we do apologize. But that has been canceled, and that was the last DRC Saturday event we have this year. But it's been an amazing, awesome event, and we're going to definitely continue it into next year. So this is K1 DBC. Anyone questions or anything on that? The board has been talking about meeting in person. We're really trying to meet in person this month for our monthly meeting, the 16th. It will be slightly different. It hasn't been officially announced yet, but we are preparing for that. Hopefully that does go through. But please just be on the lookout for official mentions of that. I don't know if it's been 100% confirmed, but on the 16th, we may be meeting at the Lakewood Police Department for kind of an in-person get-together and a little event there. So nothing officially announced just yet. So don't go out there until you've heard 100% that it's confirmed. Let's see, membership. We've been transitioning to automating our membership, and we're pretty much 100% fulfilled what we've been trying to do. So basically, our website emails you out a few times a month when you're about to expire. You click on a link, and then you just register. You just pay your membership. We've set up accounts for you. So this has been happening for several months now. We really appreciate everyone's patience. I recently updated our website. You can, if you, on the top right, there's a login in your profile. There's a few new options. They were maybe a little bit buried before, but one of them just takes you to your billing information. One of them takes you to a PDF that you can print out for your card if you'd like, a membership card. And then there's a directory and roster as well. But you do have to be logged into that. So we really appreciate everyone's patience with that. So if anybody has questions on that, don't hesitate to get a hold of us. Website admin at w0tx.org, and we can help you out with that. Don't have much more else on that at the moment, but if anybody has any further comments or questions or any club business you'd like to ask or anything else, otherwise I can bring up a couple more things and we can start to wrap things up. Anyone else, please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins, anything else so far for this evening's Learning Net? Please call now.
Alpha Bravo question.
Yeah, Alpha Bravo, go right ahead.
Jerry and everybody uses that 220 repeater. It's down, and I was just wondering if you had heard any news on what's going on with it, just out of curiosity.
Was that in reference to the 1 1/4 meter repeater, the 224 repeater?
Yes, Ron, the one up there on the Mountain Green Mountain up there. It's been down, and it was down last week, and we kind of discussed it a little bit on the 6-meter net on Sunday morning, and I was just wondering if you heard anything on it. It's no emergency, just curiosity.
No, we hadn't heard that. I don't know if Jerry was on that net, but we just had our board meeting this past week. There was another repeater that we've taken down, but not that one. So I will make sure that that we check into that and see what's going on. I did not realize that repeater was down. I'll make sure that we check into it. Thank you, though, for letting us know.
Yeah, they know about it. Like I said, we talked about it last Sunday morning, and I was kind of just curious on it. But like I say, it's no big deal, and I'm sure they'll get to it. Them guys are busy taking care of all that stuff. So anyway, this is Kilo Echo Zero for Bravo, back to net.
All right, sounds good. Absolutely. Yes, repeater support. We could use a little bit more help on it. We have some issues with Small Business Association, SBA, insurance requirements and things like that. Some of our towers we cannot climb. I don't know some of the specifics, but we've had some recent people joining that might be able to try to help with some of the physical repeater maintenance and support. But if anybody has any interest or experience with that, let us know, because we can certainly use more help from that area. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, and we do have people with drones. We can try to, we need to make it out to our repeaters at some point. We were probably supposed to be doing that during the summer times and not during the winter, so we may not get out there this year, but that is something we're going to try to focus on more, is our repeater maintenance. So be on the lookout for that. Maybe coming up next year, there might be some opportunities to travel out to some of the repeater sites and check them out and maybe do some maintenance and upkeep. So very cool. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? Please call now. All right, let me see. I can bring up one last story here, and then we'll start to wrap things up. This is a bit of an older article, but from September 4th on hackaday.com, written by Al Williams, how Sony mastered the transistor. When you think of Sony, you probably think of a technology company that's been around forever. As this YouTuber points out, it's really formed in the tough years after World War II. Two people behind the company's formation were an interesting pair. One of them was a visionary engineer, and one was a consummate businessman. While it's hard to imagine today, securing a license to produce transistors was difficult in the early days. What's worse, even with the license, it was not feasible to use the crude devices in a radio. The devices were poor by today's standards, and while transistors would work at audio frequencies for hearing aids, getting them to work at AM radio frequencies was a challenge. So the Sony founders had to decide whether to use alloy transistors or grown crystal transistors. A few paragraphs. I'll try to shorten things up here. Western Electric did not want to share its crystal growing technology. In 1954, the team created an alloy transistor. However, it failed to work at radio frequencies, so they shifted to growing crystals, which seemed more amenable to scaling. One of the team tried using phosphorus indium doping and created a transistor that could work at higher frequencies, but there was a problem. The transistor's superior performance, despite the transistor's superior performance, they couldn't make another one. Common wisdom at the time was that phosphorus doping was a dead end, but it had worked once. It just took time to find the right way to do it. By 1955, they produced usable transistors, even though the yield was around 5%. Last couple of paragraphs here. Texas Instruments beat them to market with a transistor radio, the Regency TR1 in 1954. But in 1955, Sony produced the TR55. One of the 5 transistors inside, some were alloyed, some were grown crystals. The factory had to hand-select crystal transistors to make each unit work. The radios were on sale for about 19,000 yen, $50, $600 today's money. Adjusted for inflation, Japanese teenager would shell out about $850 for TR55. It wasn't the first radio to have transistors. TR52 was also a prototype, but it had case problems and never made it to the hands of the public. Radio didn't make it to the United States until 1957. By then, Texas Instruments, Raytheon, and GE all had radios available too. So this is a great video here by Asianometry on his YouTube channel, how Sony mastered the transistor. Fascinating look into the history of iconic electronics brand and a window into another world that has honestly wasn't that long ago. Can't help but notice similarities with Apple and also who also had a businessman and engineer combination. Sony would go on to innovate a number of areas, including optical data storage. So very cool stuff there.
With the broadcaster NHK, providing high-quality broadcasting equipment and other professional equipment to replace.
All right, so yeah, great video here. It's about a 24-minute video. Check that out. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Another couple of minutes. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins, anything else? Please come there.
Alpha Bravo, so what did they do before they started growing them? Did they mine them? Is that what they go through and mine this quartz and these quartz crystals and cut them and set them up? Is that how they did it, Drone?
I have not looked through the entire video, but I think that is the case. Yeah, mining quartz crystals, yes. But I'm not 100% sure on that, but I believe that was the case.
Yeah, me too. I think that's what they used to do anyway. Just a question. This is Kilo Echo Zero Alpha Bravo, back to net.
Oh, very cool stuff. Okay, yep. And I think there was not too long ago. I mean, there was a quartz crystal factory that either exploded or had some issues somewhere, but it's just by the by. But yeah, very cool stuff. We also had AE0YR checking in online. Really appreciate that. It is 8:29 p.m. Just ticked over to 8:30. So I'll throw it out to the group. Last minute comments, questions, check-ins. Anything else? Please go on there.
W0TX repeater.
Okay, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Nothing heard. I'll start wrapping things up and then make one last final call for check-ins. Total so far, 16 check-ins. Really do appreciate everyone who's checked in. We appreciate the Denver Radio Club for allowing us to use their repeaters. Again, w0tx.org for more information on our club. Upcoming meeting still to be announced. More information on our website. It will be announced there, possibly in person. So be on the lookout for that. We all have our Sunday night nets, and appreciate everyone starting to hear a lot more newer net control operators. Really awesome to hear. So if you'd like to help out with that, again, net at w0tx.org, Elmer at w0tx.org. Lots of information on our website as well. So I'll throw it out to the group. This will be the final call. Any last minute check-ins, please call now. Okay, nothing heard. We appreciate everyone checking in. Again, total of 16 check-ins. Really do appreciate that. Again, youtube.com/Denver Radio Club to see behind the scenes. I've set up an additional camera again so you can see kind of behind the scenes a little bit of what I'm looking at and how I operate. And really appreciate that. Appreciate all the check-ins online. So with that, this is K1 DBC Net Control 7-3, and I will be clear. Everyone have a good evening. All right, thanks again all. Talk to you soon.